Okay, so we're going to have a little look at some basic sketching techniques. We're going to use a technique called isometric. So here I've got an isometric grid set up. Now, an isometric grid, if I explain to you, I'll show you a piece of paper, put my paper over the grid. Basically, I've got lines that go in this direction. I've got lines that go in this direction. So that's the same thing repeated. Okay, and I've got lines that go in this direction. Now, isometric only involves those three lines. And basically what we've got is, if we did a straight line along here, this is 30 degrees. And if I did the same thing on this side, this is 30 degrees. They're the only lines that we're concerned with. That gives us isometric. And for later on, when we actually do some shading and things, we can consider this the lightest surface, this the medium, and this the darkest. So what we tend to say is the light source is coming down over our left shoulder, which produces these level of results. So when we shade, we'll shade this one fairly light, we'll shade this one a bit darker, we'll do this one darkest again. So that's the basic principle. That's what isometric looks like. However, we're going to be looking at something called crating. So I'll show you what crating is. So the idea of crating is that basically every shape that we want to make fits within some sort of grid. Okay, we're going to create a crate. So for instance, if I wanted to do something like, we'll say a mug. So I'm going to draw myself a crate to start with. And all I'm doing with a crate is I'm working out rough proportions. Now you notice I'm not using a ruler or anything. I'm doing all this freehand, and the idea of doing it freehand is it's quick and easy. And the idea of isometric sketching in this sort of situation is basically to get your ideas down as quickly as you can. So there I go. I've got myself a basic rectangular crate. So how does a mug look? Well, a mug is obviously, usually it's round. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work out, I'm going to draw a line across the longest point. Now by doing that, what I'm saying to myself is that that's where the ellipse or the off circle, the circle's going to go. So if I actually filled this in, so it was like a see-through crate, the same shape will go on the bottom as goes on the top. You can always count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across there. I know it's the same. Okay, I'm just going to make a little curve here and here, and I'm just going to literally join them up. And this gives me my ellipse. Now, an ellipse is just a circle that's been squashed. Imagine looking at a basketball hoop. If you stand directly underneath it, it's a circle. You take a few steps back, it's an ellipse. So where this curve hits here, I just project my lines down. Same on the other side, I project my lines down. Now I could reproduce the curve on the bottom, but I'm going to just freehand mine. I know roughly where it's going to go. I could even measure, so the distance from here to here would pretty much be the same from here to here. Okay, everything else pretty much lines up. But what have I got to do? I've got to consider the fact that a mug has got some thickness to it. So inside this lip, I can draw a second ellipse, which is kind of mirroring that line. Put that all the way around. Okay, and it's going to have a handle coming off it. Now the handle, I could do that as a square as well. So I could work out exactly where within this rectangle it comes from. So if I wanted to put it in the middle, it'll be coming off there somewhere. And if I wanted to crate it outwards, the handle is going to come out and it's going to be something along this kind of shape. So I'm still using the same angles. I know it's going to be touching the mug there. It's going to be coming out and it's going to come to there. Now obviously a handle is not square like that. I'm going to erase the bits that are going to confuse me slightly. So I'm just going to get those out of the way. So I'm left back with that shape. Okay, what do I want to do? I want to put a kind of curved handle in. So probably my handle is going to come up something like this. And it's obviously going to have a shape to it. I'm just playing around with it inside that area. So whatever I'm doing on one side, I'm going to repeat on the other side. Now I can't see, if I project my line across here, I'm only going to be able to see this side of the curve, but I'm still going to be able to see the top of it, and my top is going to go something like that. Okay, so looks a bit messy at the moment. I'd still see the inside of it here. So again, I'm still looking at these 30-degree angles all the time to try and work out where everything's going to go. When I'm happy with my design, all I'm going to do is take a technical pen. Now this is a 0.8. It's called a uni pen, and I'm going to go over the lines that I want to keep. Okay, so there's my mug. That's called crating, the technique that I've used. So I've started off with a kind of square, and I've moved around and I've inked in the dimensions that I like. Once the ink is dry, I can basically erase what are now known as construction lines. So these little pencil lines were simply the ones that helped me construct my shape. And I did it all in isometric, using the isometric grid that was underneath. And I can see there straight away when I've erased that, I've erased a little bit which I hadn't inked in. So I should have inked in this bit by here as well. And that's a very quick lesson on how you do crating.